unique group, the church. We've come here this morning knowing nobody, and just even standing in the foyer. We are greeted by people. It's like we've known people forever as we talk to them. We are a unique group of people. We are the church. And we are called with a unique purpose. And our purpose is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the world. Can I say, we're not doing a very good job with it? We're not even doing a very good job here in the United States. According to a recent survey that I read, it said that we are less than 750,000 members in the United States. Do we truly believe that we are the Lord's church? Do we truly believe that we have got a gospel that we need to take to the world? And without that gospel, the world is lost? Do we believe that? Well, then, we need to get to work. Whenever I was in Ireland, a minister from another denomination got up and preached against Islam on the Sunday. He said that Islam came from hell. And he was right. On the Monday, he was arrested and charged with a hate crime. And was told that you cannot preach against Islam. That's what's happening in our world. And when you turned on the television recently, you have seen that we sent young men and women to die in Iraq for nothing. Because what we're seeing is militant Muslims take over the country. And the only thing that can stop evil in our world, and if you forget everything I'll say, do not forget this. The only thing that can stop evil in our world today is not our government, but it's the Lord's church. For as we spread the gospel, we change the lives of people, and when the lives of people are changed, when the evil and the violence that we witness all around us is no longer there. But that means it's up to our generation, old and young, to begin to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. Let's just think for a moment. We're not Christians. We're car salesmen. Okay? Every one of us in this room are car salesmen. Now, compared to the number of people that we have sold Christ to, what type of a living would we be making if we were selling cars? Can I guess that probably every one of us would be broke? Because we have forgot our purpose. Our purpose is not to play church. Our purpose is not to meet the needs of people. Our purpose is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. I was raised a Mormon. To the day I die, I will be thankful for the evangelistic fervor that the Mormon Church gives me. Because there are people who we may believe are not teaching the true gospel. But how many people in this room has not had a Mormon at their front door? Interesting. interesting, isn't it? That they're coming to teach us, and we're not going to teach them. Lorna's twin sister is a very devout Jehovah's Witness. Whenever the walls came down in the Soviet Union, we began to panic. We sent missionaries over who weren't truly prepared to go into Eastern countries. As the Jehovah's Witnesses were praying for the walls of communism come down, they were actually training people to win. And whenever the walls came down, they could send missionaries in who could speak Russian. We send missionaries over, and we start arguing over whether a woman can interpret for them or not. We get all mixed up. We forgot what the purpose was. And the purpose was, by whatever ways or means necessary, we needed to teach the people of the Soviet Union and other Eastern countries the gospel. But what we started to do was fight and argue among ourselves and how that should be done. Jesus told us how to do it. Go into the world and preach the gospel to every creature. That's our mission. That's our purpose. But we look at the church today, and all over this country, we find that there's issues that are arising in the church. And they're all arising because we've taken our eyes off our purpose and put them on ourselves. And church is not about us. Church is about him and reaching out to the lost. Now, with that background, I want to talk to you about the churches in Northern Ireland. This is a forgotten evangelistic ground. People used to be interested in churches in Northern Ireland. That's why we had 25 evangelists. But what happened? Well, we took our eyes off Ireland and we looked towards South America, we looked towards Africa, we looked towards other countries in the world. Because our approach to evangelism is like getting a shotgun and just getting a map of the world up there and shooting at it. And wherever the bullets lie, that's where we send somebody. So let's talk about Northern Ireland. Here's a picture of Ireland. Most of you are familiar with the south of Ireland. Very few people who ever come from America go to the north of Ireland, and there's a reason for that. We've had 30 years of troubles in Ireland, and they're still sporadic. Even when my wife and were there a couple of weeks ago, we had to divert our routes on occasions because there was rioting in certain areas of Belfast. President Clinton went to Ireland a few years ago, took a guy called Mitchell with him. They come up with a peace agreement. My father says that's wonderful. Mr. Clinton and Mr. Mitchell told the world there was peace, but nobody told us in Ireland there was peace. We were still fighting with one another. But Northern Ireland's up there to the north. And what you'll find is that Northern Ireland is divided into 6 counties. If you look at Antrim, basically there are churches there in Antrim. If you look in Londonderry, there's a church in Londonderry, but the rest of the Ireland, there's no churches at all. No outreach whatsoever. The church meets in Coleraine. There's one in Belfast. There's one in Bangor and in Hollywood over there off the side of the map. And that's basically the 4 churches there are in the north of Ireland. Here's one of the churches where I go each year. This is the Bangor Church of Christ. And their building used to be a beauty shop. And they purchased this beauty shop and they turned it into a church meeting place. It's simply a loan. It's not that they purchased it. They didn't buy it. They're just at the moment renting it. Basically, you'll notice service times, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. We don't believe in going to church at 9:30 in Ireland. We party Saturday night, so Ireland never happens when we get up early to go to church Sunday morning. So church service starts at 11 and at 12, and evening worship begins at 6:30. Here is the Inside of the church in Bangor, you'll notice the table and, of course, where they stand to preach. Here is the church. Population of 80,000 people, 16 members in the church. You'd think you just have to open the doors and the wind would blow in more, wouldn't you? But there's a reason. And that reason is because from 1969, the people of Ireland have been at war with one another over religion. And I'll show you a few slides in just a moment. Protestants fighting Catholics. So therefore, whenever you go up to the younger generation and you talk to them about Jesus Christ, they say, hey, we don't want any of that. And all they're doing is following what's happening throughout England. Do you know there are more atheists in England today than what there are Christians? And in the north of Ireland, especially among young people, there are more people who are atheists, agnostics, than there are interested in Christianity. So this is the church that meets in Bangor. This is their car park. And small area. Matter of fact, I hired a car when I was in Ireland, and my wife got out of the car. She was embarrassed with me trying to park this thing. Okay? She says, you're going to hit every car in here. I said, well, at least I'll leave my mark, if nothing else. But there we go. Here's the church again. You'll notice that the back of it is all graffiti. There's graffiti all over the walls. People come along and they just write whatever they want. This is some of the clean stuff. Some of the other stuff I had to remove before I showed the picture. But this is where the church is meeting. And this is what they're up against, meeting in this location. This is where they used to meet in Bangor, and even notice there, graffiti written on the walls. Okay? It just seems to be a thing about Ireland. They're like dogs. They want to leave their mark everywhere. Okay? So what they do is go along, and certain gangs will put up their graffiti signs. Well, maybe like Chicago. Anybody here from Chicago? That's good. We can talk about Chicago. It's maybe a bit like Chicago, you know, gang areas. And that's what's basically happening there in the north of Ireland. Here's, again, that church. Notice the old church behind it. It is one of the oldest churches in the north of Ireland. It's in Bangor. I'm actually going to show you the oldest one in a moment. But the old one of the steeple is one of the oldest churches that there is. For those of you who are sitting in the back, this is me. This is what I look like if you had a set up here, okay? This is me just preaching in... Pardon? It's wonderful what you can do with a photograph. Here I am I'm like Jesus in this picture. I'm like between two thieves, okay? But the guy with the Bible in his hand, that is the preacher in Bangor. That is Colin Graham. Colin and his family are doing a tremendous job in Bangor. Just unbelievable against all the odds. The guy on the left of me, some of you may know Jim McGuigan. This is Jim's brother, Eddie McGuigan. And Eddie is wasted because Eddie is one of the best preachers that you will ever hear. And yet, he came back to Ireland, was unable to raise support. So now he's basically just filling in as he can and helping the church in Bangor. Belfast. Probably, no, undoubtedly, okay, the best city in the world. Okay, here's a church in Belfast. It used to be the Glencairn Church of Christ. Today it's called the Westway Church of Christ. And this is it from the main road. Again, we just missed the Easter lectureship that was going on. You'll notice they meet at 11:15, and they also have children's Bible class at 11:15. What they do is they take the children out so the adults can hear what's being taught. So as they're worshiping, okay, the kids are off in Bible class, which means what? Some of the members are missing out on worship, okay? So what they do is they usually have communion, and then the teachers and everybody else all leaves. This again is just a picture. They're not coming out really well because I think the lights are above us, but here's the Sunday school entrance. They go in through a different door altogether. And here, again, is a picture of the church and the Bible class area in the background. Because of the vandalism that takes place, the church basically has to bar itself up. So basically what you have is in all the windows, you've got iron bars and everything else. It's having a jail ministry, okay? Only it's in Belfast. Everywhere you go, you're behind bars. And this is because of the vandalism that goes on over there. This is the interior of the church. Wooden benches. They are the most uncomfortable thing in the world. And yet, whenever you go to a church service in Belfast, every service lasts about 2 hours. You will experience that today. Whenever I preach, I'll preach. Somebody said I've got an hour and a half to preach. Okay, so you will experience what it's like. But think what it's like sitting on these benches for 2 hours. Notice all the bad folks are on the right side, all the good folks sit on the left. I know they're the good folks with my wife in there, okay? So basically, it's like every other church, you know. People sit in their favorite seats. Don't they, Michael? Okay, thank you. Michael, move forward just to set an example to all the rest of you that you should have moved closer. He said his seat's back there somewhere, but he moved forward so he could see this. Okay, here's, in all of the churches in Ireland, there only is 3, but what you will find above the baptistry and above the pulpit area is the statement, you must be born again. Okay, that's everywhere. Every church has got that above its baptistry. Behind the stand there, that wood that's coming down, that is actually the area for the baptistry. Okay? Let me tell you a story. We were baptized in person one time, and they put the heater on in the baptistry, and they forgot to put the heater on. So after they got his confession, those doors opened, and then you go down into the baptistry. Well, of course, when they opened the doors, all come out with steam. It was so hot, just steam come out. Well, what's some idiots do? They go and they start pouring cold water in, thinking if they pour cold water into the baptistry, it'll take the steam away. What do you get? You get more steam. So after the building cleared out, to this day we still haven't found that guy that's going to be baptized. He thinks we're going to fry him, okay, or boil him, or do something with him. But this is where I was baptized. The day I got baptized, there was no heating in the baptistry. It was ice cold. I was baptized by Jim McGuigan, and I tell people Jim put me on there, but he didn't have to worry about me coming back up. Okay? Once I felt that water, I come up like a cork out of water. Okay? Again, not a good picture, but this is the Westway Church of Christ. Here is the Easter gathering. This is Christians from all over Ireland gathered together for the Easter fellowship. That's it. Okay? 2 million people. And probably add about 20 to that. And that's the Lord's Church in Ireland. Harlan the Wolf. Who knows what came from Harlan and Wolf? She sank in 1912. The Titanic. Matter of fact, my grandfather and my great-grandfather both worked on building that Titanic. That's why I've never learned to swim, and I've never went on a boat. Okay? I have a poor family record. But this is the Harlan and Wolf shipyard. Here she is, the Titanic that was built there. This is a modern-day exhibition for the Titanic. Whenever you enter this building, it's like entering the ship itself. It's all different floors. It takes you around and shows you how it was built and everything else. Nearly 1 million people a year are coming to this tourist attraction in Belfast. Here's the Titanic. That's exactly where she was built, by the way. You'll notice off to your right is where they took her to fit her out, and I'll show you that in just a moment. This is a pneumatic. The Titanic was so large it could not come into port. So what people used to do was get on a boat and take them out to the ship, and this is the boat they got on to take them out to the ship. Okay? They're pneumatic, and as I say, you can tour that if you ever come to Ireland. Here's the Belfast City Hall. This is a monument to those who died in the Titanic. There's basically just the words of the memorial. Sank on her maiden voyage. Remember the words of the Captain Smith? She was what? She was unsinkable. of futility from a man's mouth. This is a t-shirt that you buy whenever you go to Belfast. The Titanic, she was built by Irishmen and she was sunk by an Englishman. Okay? We find great pride in our shipbuilding. Just you never asked an Englishman to captain it. Okay? Here's the dry dock where she was fitted out. After she was put together, she was put into this area and basically fitted out from here. This has all become tourist attractions there in Belfast. People come from all over the world to see this. Pay a lot of money. You're seeing it for free. Okay? Here again, basically where she was drawn, all the plans for the Titanic was drawn up. Now, as I mentioned, Ireland has went through trouble from 1969. The reason I left the Mormon church is because I became a terrorist. I had a couple of my friends who were murdered in the streets of Belfast, and I decided I was wanting revenge. So I put what I believe to be a Christian background to the wall and became a member of the Ulster Defence Association, a Protestant paramilitary organization. We lived in an area of Belfast where basically everybody got involved in a paramilitary organization because we believed we were heading towards civil war in Ireland. And the only way you could defend yourself is if you were in some of the armies. Now, these paramilitaries are not the paramilitaries of today. Today they're a bunch of gangsters, okay? But these were people who were committed to defending their Protestant background, to defending their heritage. Of course, the Roman Catholics would want to defend their background and their heritage. And what actually happened, the trouble started in 1969. I was 15 years of age, okay? Anybody of my age group had their youth taken from them, okay? We didn't know what it was like to be a regular teenager. There were certain areas of Belfast we lived in where we could go. There were certain areas we couldn't go, okay? Basically, our whole lives were changed. America believes she is facing the consequences of terrorism today. You go through an airport, take off your shoes, take off your belt, put your arms up in the air, your trousers fall down around your feet. We think that's the consequences of terrorism. I know what it's like to walk down the street wondering if the car in that street is containing a bomb. That's what it was like. Car bombs were planted everywhere. I know what it's like that when someone comes and knocks your front door, you wonder whether to open it or not. There could be a gunman on the other side of it. I had an 18-year-old friend who took his girlfriend out for a walk one night. A sniper shot him. The bullet, first of all, went through him, hit his girlfriend, and the police could never explain to us, but they said that it ricocheted back out of her into his head and killed him instantly. 18. I have another friend, John Thompson, whose job it was to try to make an anti-handling device and a bomb. He did. He made a very good anti-handling device. Matter of fact, whenever he tried to move the bomb, it exploded and killed him. He left a wife and a young child. And we can go on and tell you what it's like living through hell. Because basically, that's what it was. And that's why today I preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Because I have experienced the other side of it. I have been there. And I don't want to see others go there. But this picture above me is the Biardo Bar. People were in just enjoying an evening's entertainment. And a bomb was thrown into the bar. A number of them were killed. You go to where that bar stood, and today there's this monument, the Biardo Bar. All across Ireland, in the north of Ireland, you will find murals that are being put up. The ones I have are from Protestant parts of Belfast, okay? This is the Ulster Volunteer Force. And what they usually do is when someone is shot who belongs to them or slice taken, they put up a monument. No, put a statement, here lies the soldier, okay? Someone who gave their life too soon, too young, for no reason whatsoever. Here is what's called the People's Army. This is the Ulster Volunteer Force. And again, it's a monument up to people who give their lives. Well, what do you do when people are at odds with one another? Well, you try to keep them separated. And all through Belfast, what you will find is what we call peace walls that are built separating Protestants from Catholics. Here is a street where one side is Catholic, the other side is Protestant. So what do you have? Running down the middle? No man's land. Okay? Just walls, fences, separating them, trying to keep them apart. In the streets of Belfast, you will find certain flags flying. If you find a green, white, and gold flag flying, you know you're in a Roman Catholic area. Okay? That's the flag of the Republic of Ireland. If you're in the north of Ireland, you'll see an Ulster flag flying. Okay? The white with the red cross. Again, sometimes you'll find Union Jacks just flying to show their Protestant background. Because of the troubles, shops close around about 5:30 at night. Whenever they close, they're boarded up. Nearly every shop in Belfast is this type of cover in front of it. People can't slide bombs underneath it. Can't put fire bombs. Just basically keep it covered. Again, another mural to people who were murdered. Joseph Long, James Gardner, Robert Bennett. And here you have a picture of them being buried, painted on a wall where they would be given a paramilitary funeral. Here is just a mural reminding people when the trouble started, the summer of 1969. What actually happened was, in Ireland, because the north of Ireland was Protestant and wanted to maintain their Protestant background, when people came to vote, they voted by families. So if you had a Catholic household with 10 people in it, you had only one vote. If you had a Protestant house with 3 people in it, you had one vote. Trying to keep it equal, because you were basically being outvoted 10 to 4. Well, in 1969, what was going on here in America? Civil rights movement. Okay? Martin Luther King. Well, the Irish Catholics jumped onto the idea that we can get the support from America if we start demanding one man, one vote in the north of Ireland. So they had a parade. That parade was from Belfast to Derry. And it was all Roman Catholics who were in the parade. It was ambushed on the way to Derry. The Protestants ambushed it, started a riot. The police were called to Derry. Then word went all over Ireland, start trouble in your areas to bring the police out of Derry. And that was basically how the whole trouble started in Ireland. Okay? Protestants started to riot in certain areas against Catholics, and the police basically were then spread out all over the place, so they had to bring in the army to support the police, and that's how the army finished up in Ireland. Okay? When the first night the army came into Ireland, there's a riot in a part of Belfast where my father's mother lived. So we wanted to go and check out how she was doing, if everything was okay. And we were walking across Belfast. There was this army line across the road. And my father walked up to a soldier and he asked him, "Can we get across the line?" And that soldier lifted his rifle and smacked my father across the chin with the butt of his rifle. And my father carries a scar to this day. And all he done was ask him, could he get over to see his mother? And that's what it became like. It became basically a military zone where the army were basically in control. They could stop your car and search it and could arrest you, take you in for questioning without any purpose. They just didn't like the way you looked. So they basically arrested you and took you in for questioning. You see, this is what real terrorism is. You know, this is what happens whenever something happens in your country where it's really divided. Again, just a mural. You'll find this all over where someone has given their life. He shall not grow old as we are left grow old. Age shall not weary him, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember him. Okay? And you'll find that all over the place in Belfast. Again, just murals regarding the troubles. Here again is one of these walls, the separatists, Protestants and Catholics. This is where my wife and I live. It's called the Dunkern Gardens. And we were one street away from a Catholic area. So the first night we brought home our son from hospital, there's a gun battle in the street. My wife's feeding our son, and I'm standing at the window with a mattress, hoping we don't get shot, thinking a mattress is going to stop a bullet. That's how naive you are when you're 18 years of age, okay? But thinking that this mattress would stop it. But here is the main street of Belfast. It's called Royal Avenue. And not see any flags. All people of all backgrounds mixed in the city centre. Here again is another picture of downtown. Here's the Belfast City Hall at the bottom. This is again the main street. And I think there are more people in this picture than what there are members of the Lord's Church in Ireland. That's the challenge that's before us. This clock at the bottom is called the Albert clock, and it's built at a tilt. It doesn't really come out in that picture too well, but that's the Belfast Tower of Pisa, okay? It just goes at a slant. And they've done everything to try to straighten it up, but eventually one day she'll keel over. Some of the scenery from around Belfast and Ireland, a beautiful, beautiful place. Me and my wife found this one. We've lived there all of our lives, and on our recent tour, our travels over there, we got lost. And we found this waterfall. Isn't that beautiful? That's what happens when you're lost. Again, up the coast of Ireland, this is the oldest cross in all of Ireland. It's called the Celtic Cross, and it's the oldest cross that anybody has ever found. I can't remember what the date goes back to, but it's the oldest one that there is. This is the oldest church that there is in Ireland. You'll notice that they've made some changes to it because parts of it have fallen down. But that's just where this cross is also. Again, this is just some pictures of the coast of Ireland. Some of the houses that people used to live in. Thatch cottages become a dying trade. People in the areas knew who it was on the roof because every thatcher had his own style. So they could turn around and tell you, well, that was John Doe done that roof because we know John. Well, what happens? John's getting older. The older generation are dying, and the younger generation aren't interested in it. So what you're seeing is a lot of thatch roofs in Ireland just completely disappearing. Just some of the other ones. Beautiful, beautiful gardens in Ireland. But there's a reason for it. It rains twice a week in Ireland. One for 4 days, the other for 3. Okay? People forget it. That's how it's the Emerald Isle. Okay? Dunluce Castle, an old, lot of history throughout the north of Ireland. Who else came from Ireland? Besides the Titanic, who else? Chronicles of Narnia. C.S. Lewis. Okay? C.S. Lewis lived around the corner from my mother, and here's the monument they put up for him. The wardrobe and the guy, this is supposed to be the younger C.S. Lewis trying to get into the wardrobe. Here's the church in Scamersdale. Ireland is bad. England was worse. I preached in Scamersdale, England. We had an unemployment rate of 86% in our community. The church building was constantly vandalized. You'll notice wire across the roof. back of it. Okay? Just a real rough area. This is the interior of the church building. And here again, notice in the top right-hand corner, we put a security camera up. They actually came, we put a security camera up, and we put 5 dummy boxes, okay? 5 false security cameras. They came and didn't touch the 5 dummies. They stole the real thing, okay? So whenever we put it back up again, we put a wire fence around it, a cage around it, to try to stop them from stealing it. But again, this is the Scammerdale church building. This is what we put up. Let me tell you how we became high unemployment. Scammerdale is about 20 miles from Liverpool. Okay? What do you know about Liverpool? Woo! Beatles. Okay? Beatles came from Liverpool. Okay? Well, let me tell you, if you ever go to a soccer match, I used to go to a soccer game every Saturday in Belfast, or in Liverpool, and park my car outside Paul McCartney's house. Everybody thought it was one of the McCartney family, so they didn't touch it. Cars up and down were broke into, but mine was always safe because people thought I was related to Paul McCartney. So I'm thankful for the Beatles. But what they done is they said Liverpool was an old community. It needed to be rebuilt, so they moved 40,000 people out of Liverpool and built this new town called Scammerdale. They had 2 American companies that come in, Thorn EMI and Hughes Tool and Truck. They said to these American companies, for 5 years, we will give you free rent. We will give you free utilities. We'll actually build the business for you. What do you think happened at the end of 5 years? The 2 of them moved out, leaving the majority of people in Scammerdale unemployed, 84% unemployment. You could not, my wife went one day to a theater in Liverpool. She's sitting there with her purse on her arm. She gets up to walk away, and somebody had come in and cut the 2 straps, took the purse and left the straps over her arm. It was crazy. Nothing was safe. We were broken into all the time. This is the front of the church building. The church was in a dark alleyway. So I would go along to the council meetings and I would ask them, can you not put a lamp at the bottom of our street so that at least it lights up the church building and it doesn't break into? For 6 months, I went every week to the council meeting. Can we have this lamp? So they come up and they put up the lamp. Here it is. Well, this isn't the one they put up. They put up one, and I forgot the lamp was there. And I'm back in my car out of this church building, and I hit the lamp and knocked the lamp over. So I turn up at the council meeting the following Monday night, and one of the councillors turns around and says, Mr. Glendinning, we're tired listening to you. We've put up your lamp. What are you here for now? I says, some idiot knocked it down. So they put up another lamp for us. And here it is. But that lights up the church building, but really does not stop the people who vandalize it and break into it. So what I'm saying, and why I showed you here, is that there's people who are meeting, who are members of the Lord's church against extreme difficulties, having extreme struggles. But we need to encourage them. We need to support them. We need to do whatever we can do. And to show you how much I believe in this, me and my wife are just back. I put myself $7,000 in debt because I couldn't find churches to help me. But I decided I was going anyway. Because people need to be encouraged. Why? Because I've been there. And I've done that. And can I say that that's one of my problems in local work? Because deep down, I'm not a localized preacher. Deep down, sound, I am a missionary. When you go to your doctors, and you tell the doctor you're not feeling too good, what's the first thing he does? Check your temperature. That's not what I'm looking for. So the crack. Does he put a stethoscope on and listen to your heart? And your heart's not beating right? What's happening? You've got a problem. And that problem comes out in the rest of your body. Folks, can I tell you what I believe our problem is? Our body's sick at the moment because we've got a heart problem. Our heart's not in what we used to do. Remember, people used to tell us about what happened in the churches in the 50s and the 60s? What happened? We've taken heart failure. My mother in Belfast at the moment has acute heart failure. She's dying. And you know what's wrong with us? We have acute heart failure. And you know what the result is? We're dying. And if you don't believe that, take the last issue of where the churches meet. Go through them churches and see what the attendance used to be to what the attendance is today. Am I running past my time? Pardon? We're ready to finish? Okay. I was going to say there's time for questions. Good. There's no time for questions. Let's talk about this some more as we go into our worship this morning. Thank you for your time and your patience.